You shouldn't be alive right now. Not here. Not 400 million years in the past. Because the moment you arrive, the planet itself is trying to erase you. But here's the strange part. It's not the predators that kill you first. It's the silence. No birds. No insects. No rustling trees. Just wind, scraping across a dead, empty landscape that looks more like Mars than Earth. And that's when you realize something is deeply wrong. What happens next changes everything. Your time machine is gone. Broken. You're stuck in the Devonian Period. A world where 85% of the planet is ocean and the land barely alive. So the first question hits you fast. How do you survive in a world that was never meant for you? You look around for shelter, but there are no trees, no wood, no leaves, just wet rock, scattered moss, and endless shoreline. And this is where it gets weird. You're not just out of place, you're early. Way too early. Plants haven't evolved into anything useful yet. There's nothing to build with, nothing to wear, nothing to burn. So what do? You improvise. Moss becomes insulation. Shells become tools. Fish bones become weapons. Primitive. Ugly. But necessary. Because the real problem isn't comfort. It's survival. And survival means food. So you move toward the water, slowly, carefully. But that's not even the craziest part. Because beneath that calm surface, something is already watching you. You think the ocean will save you. It won't. Because the moment your reflection hits the water, something moves. Fast. And this is where it gets weird. You're not the hunter here. You're the experiment. The Devonian Ocean is alive with creatures that don't just look alien, they act like it too. Massive armored fish patrol the shallows. Silent. Heavy. Watching. And then you see it. A shadow. Huge. Moving beneath you. Placoderms. Apex predators of this world. 10 meters long. Jaws strong enough to crush bone like paper. No warning. No hesitation. So now the question changes. How do you eat? Without becoming food. You try anyway. You wade in. Slowly. Heart racing. You grab something small. A primitive fish. You've done it. But what happens next changes everything. There's no firewood. No dry fuel. No trees to burn. Just damp moss and stone. So now you face a choice. Starve or adapt. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. You eat it raw. Cold. Slimy. Barely edible. But enough to keep you moving. Because standing still here is a mistake. Food is scarce. Energy is limited. And every step you take burns more of it. So you walk. And walk. And walk. But that's not even the craziest part. Because while you're struggling to survive on land, the real collapse is happening in the water. At first, it doesn't make sense. The ocean, once full of life, is starting to feel empty. Fish are disappearing. Movement is slowing. Even the predators seem restless. But here's the strange part. It's not a predator causing this. It's plants. What happens next changes everything. Over millions of years, simple plants evolved into something far more powerful. Roots began breaking apart rock, releasing nutrients, feeding massive blooms of algae. And then, the oxygen started disappearing. The oceans begin to suffocate. And suddenly, life doesn't die from violence. It dies from absence. And this is where it gets terrifying. Up to 87% of species vanish. Entire ecosystems collapse. The food chain breaks. The oceans turn into silent graveyards. But survival doesn't stop. It mutates. Because now, something new begins to crawl out of the water. Creatures you were never meant to meet. Half fish. Half something else. Watching the land like it belongs to them now. So the question changes again. Did you escape the ocean? Or did something follow you out? You hear it before you see it. A slow drag across wet ground. Heavy. Uneven. Getting closer. And this is where it gets weird. It's not fully a fish anymore. But it's not land either. It's something in between. Tiktaalik. A creature that rewrites everything you thought you knew about evolution. 3 meters long. Crocodile-like head. Fins with wrists. Wrists. Let that sink in. It doesn't swim toward you. It crawls. And suddenly, the land doesn't feel safe anymore. Because now the question isn't what's in the water, it's what's coming out of it. But that's not even the craziest part. Because Tiktaalik isn't alone. More creatures are adapting. Cartilaginous fish. Early ancestors of sharks. Faster. Smarter. Hungrier. And then, there's something worse. Much worse. Dunkleosteus. A name you'll never forget. 10 meters of armored nightmare. Jaws designed to destroy anything. Even its own kind. And here's the twist. There's not enough food left. So it turns on itself. Cannibalism becomes survival. Which means if you enter that water again, you're not just prey, you're opportunity. So you retreat. Back to land. Back to whatever safety you can build. But here's the strange part. The world is changing again. Trees begin to rise. Real ones. Towering. Massive. 30 meters high. Thick trunks. Strong enough to climb. For the first time, you have options. You build tools. Spears. Hooks. Rope. You hunt smarter. Eat better. Maybe even survive longer than you thought possible. And this is where it feels like you've won. You build shelter above the ground. A treehouse. Safe from what crawls below. You breathe easier. But what happens next changes everything. Because survival here isn't permanent. It never was. This world is just a phase. A stepping stone. Something bigger is coming. Something far worse than anything you've seen. Because the Devonian period doesn't last forever. And the next era? It doesn't just test survival. It erases entire worlds. So now the final question hits you. If evolution keeps moving forward and extinction keeps resetting the game, then why are you here? And more importantly, what if something from this time never left?